Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here, and today we're going to be checking out Neko Navy, specifically my 1cc on hard mode. So for those who don't know, I had known about this game for ages. I put it off for a long time, finally got it digitally months and months and months and months ago. I did the easy mode clear, and then I didn't really continue. I did sample hard mode, but for whatever reason I just didn't continue playing. But the last couple nights, I jumped into it and was reminded of just how incredible this game is. Everything is super satisfying. The sound of collecting items, the mechanics, the soundtrack is amazing. I love the soundtrack. And it's just a blast. It's honestly such a fun time. So anyway, I want to share this run specifically sooner than later because I want to just touch on a few things that I noticed, which I found interesting. And it's not like any like, ooh, these big discoveries. I just mean things that I noticed about like my progress and that kind of stuff. So we will get right into that. Now, I have started dabbling with death mode, which is the hardest difficulty, and the Ura route, which is a blast that is so insane. But I think that is probably going to take a little longer than the 1 or 2 days that this took me. Not like full days, but just like evening play sessions or whatever. So anyway, for this boss, it's pretty straightforward. I love that you can more or less just restock fairly quickly, your gauge that is, and just fire that off to cancel out whatever bullets I think the shots hit, or maybe it's like everything. There's a lot always going on, so it's tricky to like see 100% what is happening. But anyway, the first boss is down, and we are motoring along. So for those who do know the game and are familiar with how it works, one thing I was doing for the first while was collecting, and I might even do it quite a bit here too, collecting the blue cats as quickly as possible, even when I didn't need to. And then what I realized is like, hey, why am I not leaving those clouds to sit there, firing something off when it's a threat and then collecting? So I finally started doing that, I think in the last 2 runs, the second last, and then this one, of course, where I got the clear. And I think that makes a huge difference. I'm not sure why I was like so frantic about collecting, gobbling up. I think just because it is so satisfying. But I do love how often you are just stacked. And I just love the visuals. Like, oh, it's so cool. The backgrounds here, the lush greens, everything is super lively, super inviting. It's just such a blast. One thing I do want to mention is that I'm going to... I don't remember how my easy mode clear went from way back, but I think what I'm going to do is redo that, like essentially play better and do a guide for that specifically, just to get more people into it, more people securing a clear on the easy mode, and then they can go from there. So for this boss specifically, I really, really love how this fight goes, and for the first bit, it did take me a little while to sort out how I wanted to approach it, but then I discovered this, and by discovered I mean I just ended up doing it just because I wanted to figure something out, but a way in which you can knock down the flowers pretty quickly without getting too much mess all over the place. So I think in the guide I will go into greater depth with that breakdown, but yeah. So in this level, we got lots of pill popping going on. Jokes aside, I was always curious, like at the end we're going to see that there is no boss, and I was always curious about what that situation is, and when I was playing death mode and I triggered the Ura route, there actually was a boss, and I'm not sure if there's a way to do that in the like the less difficult modes, or if there's something else I'm just not aware of, but I thought that was very interesting. To be able to see the stage 3 boss for the first time, or at least in a situation where you're where you need to be for it to show up. Whatever those conditions are. I'm not 100% sure on if there's more to the scoring, but from what I can tell, you want to get like the little gold cubes as often as possible. But it's not like I've really paid attention to my score. I just have a blast and blast through everything, have a fun time with this. Just survive. I don't recall if I do it in this run, but very, very consistently, almost every single time, I would do the first 5 stages absolutely perfectly, like no hits taken, anything like that. And then as soon as stage 6 hits, that is where initially I would lose all 5 or 6 of my lives. I think it shows 5 at the top when you're maxed out, but then of course, I think when you have no lives showing, you still technically have 1 life. I think that's how it works. So my runs were just completely going down the drain in that level. And then I started to improve a little bit. Got to a point where I was only taking 2 hits in the stage, sometimes only 1, and that was it. That was great. But for whatever reason, the flow and your needing to stay on top of everything, that just becomes so vital when stage 6 hits, because for whatever reason the intensity just spikes like nothing else. It's just wild. But yeah, like I said, the game is so good. Every level. I love when shmups, not that every shmup has to do this, but I do love when shmups have specific enemy types for specific levels. That just adds so much more to the experience. And this game seriously throws a lot of creativity at you. There's just a lot of different stuff going on. The bosses can be easy to mess up if you're not paying attention, and if you haven't just taken a little bit of time to figure out how to no-miss them, but at least the first 5, for me anyway, are easy to no-miss. The boss coming up is a lot of fun. I really love the one for the gold level where everything is gold. That is a really fun fight. Very simple, but very fun. I feel like this one's the boss in this stage is actually things get more precarious than some of the other bosses. Just due to the nature how wild this guy's attacks are and all that, which we will soon see. But at the same time, like I said, like you just learn what you need to do and then you can pretty much stay on top of it. So I usually just use a blast right there just to avoid all that stuff falling and the stuff flying straight at you. That dash forward, that caught me off guard the first time. But after that, you just know what to do. You know what's coming. That part can be messy, so I usually just unleash. And then I just stay safe there. I use the flying sausage as an indicator for where the red dots are actually going to be. And then I just stay above that a little bit. But you're getting so many blue cats, you're pretty much always staying topped up and ready to, fire off when you need to. So yeah, this is a fun level. In the Ura route, this level is absolutely bonkers. It is so good, though. It is such a rush. I just love how much glitter is going on right now. And how glorious it is just hearing those explosions. Jeez, like it's just so good. Just mayhem, destruction everywhere in sight. I cannot recommend this game enough. If you have not played Neko Navy, even if you're not into the look of it, like, I cannot recommend this enough. It's one of those games, once you play it, you realize, you feel how good it is. And I think when I did my easy mode clear, I was using a different cat too, so I think I would automatically do way better with this one, which I unlocked after the fact. If I'm quiet for a bit, it's just because I'm soaking up all of this action. The big donuts that you saw earlier in the stage, in the next stage there are quite a few more. And some fairly nasty ones that show up too, not just like the standard ones. And those are a lot of fun. I love enemies like that, which just have a big ass spray. Man, I love the driver. Just the posture and everything. I love the attacks here. But yeah, anyway, this is a very, very simple fight. You just stay right in front and you charge. There's nothing threatening going on here. And then when he does this, you just fire off your thing for iframes, and then you're through it, and you're soaking up more blue cats, and then it's done. Like, it's extremely easy. Sometimes I think people shy away from a hard mode because it just looks crazier than it actually is. But a lot of the time you're just... Well, not a lot of the time, but in a situation like this, you're just staying in one spot, and there's the things you need to do are minimal. One of my favorite levels. I think because this level has the intensity skyrocketing, mixed with the fact that it's probably my favorite song in the game, it just makes for such an incredible experience. Such a rush of a time. The halfway boss in this stage really trips me up, but I am getting better. I started to discover a way to kind of just like be around the bottom. You'll see very soon. He's going to pop up very shortly. But at first, that is where I would usually be losing tons of lives, if not all my lives, or close to it. So I like going in with a full charge. And yeah, we'll be there soon, so I'll share a little more about it. Those are the big nasties. I love it. Just the colors, like these brilliant pinks. Oh, just glowing. So here's the halfway boss. He's got the shell guns, shell turrets. Oh, that was a hit I did not need to take. But I think it'll be a matter of directing that snaking path or trail of pink shots along the bottom some way, and then just stay on top of all this chaos that happens in the second phase. And the second half of this stage can get intense at times. I love this part. Oh my god, so good. But when it starts getting to the point where not any of these planes, but they're like these red dudes, when two of them start showing up simultaneously, that's when it can get messy. I think because this is such a fast cat and the movement feels very jittery at times, I think it's trickier to deal with those red dudes. Whereas if you had a slow moving cat, I would definitely be taking the approach of just more subtle tap movements, because the patterns don't actually look crazy, but when you're moving around fast and every little tap you do sends you flying, then that's when it's a problem. This boss fight is risky. It's not that it's super insane, it's just there's a lot to deal with, and a lot of the time you can just get cornered or cut off somewhere if you're not paying attention. Again, like anything, you're just going to want to put the time in so that you are more familiar and not allowing that kind of stuff to happen, or at least reducing how frequently it does happen. But every time I get a charge, I'm so thankful to hear that sound for when it's ready, knowing that I can just save myself at the last second, because this is such a chaotic fight. That was close. But I knew it was coming, so there was no way I was not going to fire that off. It's amazing how much breathing room you get when you do fire one of those off. So thankful that guy went down without too much issue. And we got one stage left, which in ways isn't like a full stage. Like it is and it isn't. You have a section where you destroy some enemies, and then you have a boss, and then you destroy some enemies, and then the final boss, but and this is a boss that tripped me up the first handful of times too. Mainly because I just wasn't applying myself. I was kind of just in a state where you go in and you just want to, yeah, fire off your blast. And so those pink streams would definitely claim a life or two. That was very close. Those attacks can be nasty too, because there's just a lot to pay attention to, especially when you're not so familiar with it like I was. Those things are so cool looking. Sometimes it's just best not to risk and just fire it off. Especially because you know your gauge is going to be full in no time, so you do not need to be a hero in this game. Especially when you've at least done this once, you know, okay, those two things show up first to give you a restock. That attack can be nasty, again, just because this cat in particular is super jittery. The run before this, I think I had made it this far. I had made it all the way to the very final phase of the fight, but it just gets so insane. The great thing is you're always scoring because of the blue cats and the gold that you can get even during boss fights. You always have the potential of hitting that next life too, so that can be a help as well. Like, this is just bonkers. Those are nasty homing darts. Oh my god. As if. I was so thankful to nail that. Anyway, that's that. I think what I will do is, yeah, I'll just let the credits are about to roll, so I'll just let that run for those who want to listen and enjoy that. But for me, that's everything. So thank you so much for checking this out. I always appreciate, yeah, everybody who stops by, comments, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, have a stellar day. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.